Thank you. Okay. Wow. I don't know if I could live up to that, Gretchen. So, let me just start with where I always start, which is whew, just breathe with me for a second. Let's just breathe so that I can center myself, be with you, and be able to speak clearly from our literature and not from not from my thoughts. Just stay with me. It is an honor and a privilege to be in ACA and a blessing that I'm on the road to recovery. I am truly grateful. Thank you for that second. I think the way I would love to start today is just really closing our eyes and really let me read the set aside prayer. God, please help me see. Oh, I'm messing it up. Please help me set aside everything I think I know about myself, my past, my spiritual path, and especially you, so I may have an open mind and a new experience of myself, my past, my spiritual path, and you. Please let me see the truth. Our literature and our way of being in ACA is so beautiful and helpful for me. And I typically get nervous, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, when I have to speak, because sometimes I'm anxious and I don't really know what I want to say. And I say, oh my God, did I say that before? And what that does is to show you I'm in the right place. I'm exactly where I want to be and where I need to be. It's the most honest thing that I can do in a day is say, I don't know. Instead of trying to fix you, fix me, fix the situation, then blame you, then get credit. Okay, do we know? We know. So, what I think I have come up with, and yes, I'm using the word think, but I pretty much am sure that I'm just going to do what we do here, and that is speak my truth, right? Um, it is what is and really spend most of it on recovery. So we have some great sayings here, and I'm going to go through some of them because they were really helpful for me. One is growing up with don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. That's what I grew up with. It was watch what you say, don't trust. You know, we heal in ACA with gentleness, humor, respect, and love. No, that didn't come from me. That is what our literature tells me. And from there, I have a fly in my house. And from there, I get to find peace and growth. And I'm not sure what's going on with my little laptop here, but it is starting to make me a little crazy. Um, and I would say that your question should be why am I here? Why ACA? How did I get here? Why do I stay here? You know, here's the journey. The journey is I have been clean and sober since my 20s. So that's, oh, and we could tell that was a long time ago. So that's well over 30 years. Well over 30 years. Did the steps, did the everything, talked to the old timers, the whole thing. Abstinent from compulsive eating and eating addiction. 26 years. And that is weighed and measured. It isn't like anything, right? Debt free, 15 years. And I woke up every morning not knowing who I was, what I was supposed to do, and used work solution of my success and who I was. I couldn't imagine how all those things can be true. And I still felt something was missing. I still had all of these feelings of unworthiness. I was either telling you how wonderful I am or I wasn't good enough. There was no middle. There was no middle. There was a hurt that was so deep that I didn't understand it. And what I love about these rooms too is we come with openness. That's what I love about this set aside prayer. I had to stop in my mind all the stuff that I think I have done that should be the answer. Because the reality of it, it wasn't. Because doing all those things all those years, what it gave me is the ability to look at the true wounds of who I am and what I was experiencing and how it was actually progressing. Who knew it would progress? I mean, I'm like, what does that mean? Here's what and I'm going to start here. Here's what it says. What is the solution when you feel like this? What is our solution when we walk in the door? And it says the solution is to become our own loving parent. Well, I said, ooh, what does that mean? My own loving parent. I was loved. Yeah, loved with criticism. So you, you'll do better the next time. That's the worst criticism anybody can give you. It really is. Because it really says, oh, it really wasn't good enough, right? So there was a lot of that, or a lot of, and I'm not going to stay in my history too long because it's not, but it, the feeling of like, oh, just get over it. Everybody's has problem. Everybody has this. You know what? There's people starving there. It's always like I should feel grateful instead of feeling what I'm feeling. And certainly don't voice it because then it becomes a problem. What that did is set up a feeling of I'm ready for battle because I know whatever I say, whatever I feel, whatever, someone's going to say something. So I spend my life ready for battle. That's what I call it. And ACA tells me, and I was in and out of ACA saying, oh, I don't know if that's me. I don't have any problem with authority figures. Oh, really? Oh, really? Like you can make the store clerk an authority figure and then and regurgitate on them. I think that's what it means. So it says here that we become our own loving parent. You know, it says that we will become an adult who is imprisoned no longer by our childhood reactions. We learn to love and accept ourselves. I was like, what the hell does that mean? I already love myself. I do this, this, this. And then I noticed what it was that I was giving you that I did was my career. It wasn't really anything. And then I said, well, yeah, I do volunteer work. Oh, have self I can validate anything. But I hurt inside. I abandoned myself on numerous occasions. And I hurt myself. But you didn't know because I put on a good outfit, a good smile, and a good dialogue. And inside was a person who was frightened to breathe. I am an adult child from a dysfunctional home. I am an adult child of a suicide victim. I'm an adult child who tried to take her life in many different ways and then put on a smile. I am an adult child who isolates but thinks that she's communicating and connecting. No one can connect to me because I would never allow it. I am an ACA, and I found my home here because I risk moving out of isolation and gradually releasing the burden of unexpressed grief, right? We move out of the past. That's why I'm not going to stay on the past that long, because I dragged that past right into current day with pride. Oh, I'm just strong. I'm independent. I can take care of myself. There's always these things. I'm just trying to help you. The world doesn't need my help, but I need it. They didn't need me to give them help, but I needed help. I didn't even know it. We become free to make helpful decisions as actors, not reactors. We progress from hurting to healing to helping. This is a spiritual program based on action coming from love. That's what it says. An action. It's an action program. We do action. And action is, how do we heal? It is, according to the solution, we go to meetings. We share. We do the steps. We work. We do projects like working with non-dominant handwork. We allow each and every one of us in these rooms to tell our truth without judgment, because it's true for us. That is a gift within itself. If you do nothing but that, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of healing. Our literature says, and I use this all the time, discovery is not recovery. And the reason I love that is I can talk to you until we're all blue in the face about how abstinent I am, how sober I am, and how I do the steps, and I know these steps inside and out, and I take people through them, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but when one of my friends held my hand about 4 months ago, he said, "You're cutting again." So I don't know. I love that because being aware and discovering is not recovering. Recovering takes something else. It is releasing others for the responsibility of my emotions. Well, I wouldn't have said that if you didn't say this. Okay. Listen to what I'm saying again. Releasing the other person, right? Because each of us are only acting from where we are. But when I fight back or allow your reaction to determine how I feel about myself, is why I sit here today, because I no longer want that. That, to me, looks like childhood. If I just sit and be quiet, oh, wait, if I could play this really well, if I get this extra grade, I don't want to work that hard. And for me, I'm not going to. So there's another passion that I like. For some of us, I think we have some newcomers. So here's what I want to say. In the introduction of our Red Book, so I'm going to do a lot of reading and then talking because that is helpful for me. And it reminds me that I am sharing a message and not my own thoughts on what you should do. Because I did a lot of that for years. And it says, for those new to this recovery, I want to address 3 common resistance to working the program. So I'm going over these because I had those resistance because I kept saying I was sober or abstinent, like if that was the answer to everything. But I believe what they say in these books is that being those things allowed me to have the clarity to be able to go deeper, to transform into my own loving parent. So when I go and I say, which I've said many times, well, I don't really know what a loving parent is because mine came with so much criticism. I don't know if I want that. Our literature literally says it's not a religious program, it's a spiritual program. So for me, I'm a believer and I will say it, I don't care. I'm a believer. So it says your higher power can be your, your parent. And I thought that was great. But then in ACA style, I thought I start treating my higher power like a parent. That means that I have to make you like me. I have to be a good girl. I have to move around. I have to be smart. And I was like, how do you have a God and you're seeing them into the same thing you're like running from? So I have to say, for me, it's been a lot of work. But here's what it says it says, first is the issue of betrayal, right? And it is speaking your truth. Owning your reality is not an act of betrayal with your parents or anyone, right? It's speaking our truth and owning our reality is not a betrayal of anything. There is a betrayal, but the betrayal is with the disease, the disorder of dysfunction, the not owning my reality or speaking my truth is the ultimate betrayal to me. So again, I think it's really important to kind of, I think where I am today for this meeting is really foundation, understanding that if you're here, you want to be here. Don't let anyone decide what you should hear to soothe your soul today because it's not up to me or anyone else. Yes, I want to go, I did a good thing, blah, blah, blah. Not my job today. Doesn't mean that I'm less than. Doesn't mean anything. The true betrayal is telling our truth. And whatever that truth is for us is real. And if it changes tomorrow, it's still real for you. Don't block what we have here because it's a gift, right? So that's the first one. It's abandoning myself. So the second one, there are two other primary resistance to this recovery. People want recovery, but they prefer it be pain-free. That is understandable, but unfortunately, identifying and feeling our feelings is part of healing. This program will help you learn to tolerate your feelings without hurting yourself or another. So, again, just sit with that for a little bit, right? Because it doesn't matter if we've been here for years, like me, or you're walking in the door. This is crucial because what it's saying is yes, it's painful. Yes, we're going to be crying. Yes, we're going to be screaming. Yes, we're going to go back and then we're going to forward. Then we're going to go to the middle. We stay present and in the day. That's why I started with breathing and meditation. We're here. We're nowhere else right now. We're just here and we're supporting each other as best we can. We don't have to be the smartest one in the class. We don't have to jump the highest. We don't have to fix anything. We just need to know that going back inside to what has hurt us is hurtful. But getting to the other side, we need to go through that. without feeling judged or ashamed. A lot of this shit is just shame based. Somebody made us feel ashamed. Stop complaining. The world has a problem. Really? Does that mean I shouldn't have one? It's like, really? Okay. So just sit with that and let it just be everything to you today. And it gives us permission to say our truth. ACA said honesty, willingness. That's what it says, right? Here's three. Another resistance is people want to heal and live in the present, but they prefer to do it alone, right? This is often based in rigid self sufficiency. Self sufficiency is valued in our culture. The rigidity of self sufficiency is based in mistrust of others and the fear of letting go of control. When you allow others to be a part of your path, that is when it is possible to meet resistance of fear and fear of feelings. We sit in this meeting, so this is why meetings are a tool. We sit in this meeting because we're allowing each other to be part of a path, right? That we can release our fears and feeling and talk about it. Why are you at a meeting? Because that's what we want to do is heal. Once we get to be vulnerable with each other, we're able to take that into our lives in other areas. Those are the three resistance, and it's the introduction in the our little red book, which I always find helpful because I go back to it because my resistance will come up daily. And sometimes I know I think, and that's what it is. I want to be self-sufficient. I want to know, oh, I have it. I have it. It's okay. I can do it. I don't. I don't have it. I have to work at it. I have to relax into what it is. And each day is a renewing of those things in order to take me through without becoming a victim to life or without me fighting you, being annoyed at you. I clearly must stay centered. The resistance chapters help me to stay centered because what they say in ACA, again, we're either fighting, flighting, or freezing. I do it today. I still do it. I have days when I go to bed and I do a 10-step for every single program and I separate them because they all give me different things. For ACA, it is where have I been loving and honoring to me as we approach the month of October, which is 10 months. Where have I been loving? Where have I not played a victim? And I don't sit around and write it and do all of that stuff. I spend a couple of minutes connecting so that when I wake up the next day, I'm ready to move forward and know that I am a ACA person. I need support. I need grounding. And I need to not freeze, fight, or run away. Run away is actually my favorite because I like walking. It doesn't get me far, just so we know. And the other thing is, I love when it says, what does ACA recovery look like? So let's sit with that part. So far, I told you my history. Yep. We talked about the solution, which is what? Meetings, 12-step, sharing, being open, being mind. And now let's go into what does recovery look like? How are we loving to ourselves and stuff? And it says by working the 12 steps of ACA and by attending meetings regularly, that's us, we began to realize that ACA recovery involves emotional sobriety. So, no, it's not putting the booze in the jug, right? It's not stopping and measuring my food. It's not eating. So, what was it? Because that's how I couldn't identify what I needed. It is an emotional component that I thought was under wraps from the other programs. But it wasn't, because it was what I knew as a child, and it was a go to. And it kept, there's a part, and I don't want to go all over the place, but there's a part in ACA when they talk about the character defects. For us, they're not character defects, they're strategies, right? They're survival skills for us. That's what we know, survival skills, because we survived. We're sitting here because we survived. Maybe not so easy, but we're here. So, what it says is recovery involves emotional sobriety. That is what ACA recovery looks like in one of our books. That's what it clearly says. Wow. Emotional intoxication can be characterized by obsession and unhealthy dependence. These also can be compulsions. Even without drugs and alcohol, we can be drunk on fear, excitement, or pain. We can also be drunk on arguing, gossip, or self-imposed isolation. I am not what I did for a living. I'm so much more. I'm so much more. And ACA allows me to go in and figure out what that is and be able to live in that truth and not be ashamed that if I shine, somebody else won't. So I better not shine. Oh, yeah, we have that as well. Emotional sobriety involves a changed relationship with self and others, right? It's beautiful. We measure emotional sobriety by the level of honesty. I'm as honest as I can be at this moment with you. I hurt, I suffer, and I will make you suffer in the matter of a second and then call it helping you. Okay? That's honesty, mutual respect. I walked into this room and I'm here with you. No matter not answering phones, not looking, not doing anything. It is the respect of allowing you to be who you are. I don't need to fix you, change you, reprimand you, tell you how you could do it better, or if you, well, I don't want to. And when you ask me, you become the victim and you victimize me. Okay? That was fix my mother. Oh, she's so sad. Let me do this. There's such a difference between support and help and being a victim of somebody wanting you to be what you can't be or saving them. The beautiful thing that I learned in these rooms when I started working with the suicide prevention, and one thing they said that was so clear, it was almost an ACA message, and that is we don't save somebody. And when they actually try and tell you something, do not say, okay, does this sound like one of our meetings? Do not say, oh, I know how you feel, and then start telling your story. That was the one thing I learned. I don't know if I learned anything else, but that was the one thing I learned. And you know why? Because it sounds like an ACA. We don't fix you. We listen to you because it's true for you, right? Um, and then it says in the acceptability of feelings in our relationship. I have to go with how I feel about someone who's in my life. I love this person. I don't know, but how am I reacting in there? But that's my responsibility, not theirs. I'm really understanding. Emotional sobriety means that we are involved in changed relationships that are safe and honest. We feel a nearness to our higher power. We cultivate emotional sobriety through the 12 steps and through association with other recovering adults. So, again, you're just walking in. I'm not saying what you need to hear. So what? Go to another meeting. But it's your responsibility to get the help you need here. And it is through looking at those steps, right? Showing up to meetings, the association with all of us. There's so many meetings globally, right? That we can really just take into our hearts and learn from. One of our other so I'm pulling out all the literature, okay? We have a lot and trying to stay on the same subject matter here. But one of the things I love the most is the Loving Parent Guidebook. And the reason why I think this is appropriate for us at this meeting is because I talked about what that means. The loving parent is one of our healing processes, is learn to love ourselves, right? This section is about grief because I believe that I lived in grief most of my life. I took on all my parents' grief, all everybody's grief because I'm a good little girl and I can pretty much take care of myself, right? That's something we always say, oh, I can take care of myself. I don't need anybody. I need people. I found out at this age I need people. But I need to learn how to let you be there for me. That's the key. Discovery, I need people. Recovery, how do I let you come in and help me? Okay, that's just a clear thing of how you can look at discovery versus recovery. I am not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I'm not your lawyer. I am one among many. I'm just sitting here because I was sick and suffering. I was hurting myself, abandoning myself, feeling ashamed, and living off of the fact that I was sober, clean, and all of these other things. And I do all this work, and I'm the head, and I'm blah, blah. That's what I lived off of. And that got me nowhere. It got me to a point that I had to stop work. I literally had to stop working. And a lot of people know about a year and a half ago because I was like so defensive. Every every strategy and strength that I thought I had to as a survivor was killing me and everyone around me. Just so we're clear, that was not pretty. It was just not pretty. Um, Woof, it was. And we talk about this a lot too in the rooms. Discernment means we know who we are. After that complete collapse or bottom, I worked this program different than I had previously. The discernment was healing comes from within. It comes from discernment is the breath of my higher power, breathing and accepting, being willing to look at myself and to change and not change what I think is right. That's control, but opening my mind, my body, my spirit, and all the things it's outlined for us right here. It's one of our things. It's not a Theta thing again. And just really understanding what that means. So again, if you don't have the literature, which I think most of us do, just take a page in a paragraph, which I did with my sponsor, which is also very important, is to go through these things with your sponsor. Here's where we are here. So this is also it's one of my favorites also, and it's called Helping the Inner Child and what that means. Oh gosh, I have to just stop for a second and just kind of breathe. Yeah. So it says in this program, we break, don't remember, rule, and instead seek full remembrance. That's why it's painful for me because I have to remember all those horrible things. And then I have to take them in and realize that I'm doing them with people today. That was hard. That was really hard. And it says that don't talk, don't trust, don't feel, rule. Your loving parent will keep them safe. Um, I wasn't safe. I wasn't safe with my thoughts or anything growing up. I just didn't understand what not being safe meant. It's a language we use now. Me growing up in my time, it was get over it. I was always told to get over it. You're not the only one. And when I went into AA, it was like, you're not the only one. I'm not denying that I'm not the only one. I'm just saying I hurt, right? I didn't say other people don't feel this way. I'm just saying I hurt. I'm just saying to be heard. I'm just saying I'm a person and I want to speak. I want to trust you and I want to feel compassion and closeness without the fear that you will find something wrong with me or tell me what you think. Just want you to hold the space, as we say today. Hold the space. I don't need to be fixed. That's what ACA told me. I'm not broken. You don't need to fix me. You don't need to tell me you validate every thought I had. I don't need validation anymore like I did before, where I had to call 10 friends. I still do it a little bit because somebody asked me something and I answered it. Then I told 3 friends, said, and then I go, there you go. You're in the right place. Go to an ACA meeting because you're already looking for validation for something that we should reach out. Um, Here it is. Significant. Losses include the death of a loved one. I experienced that between my brother and my father. Oh, I had a lot of death as young. Traumatic experiences. I had my whole body redone at 17. And when I came out 4 months later, I was addicted to morphine. Physical or emotional abandonment. Everybody, I felt abandoned since I was a kid. I used to walk around the streets of my little town, just like, yeah, abuse, not really a neglect. I feel it was neglect, and I'm not making excuses for them, so I don't have to explain what they went through. Doesn't matter. I'm telling you what I went through. The healing is within me. Okay. Abuse, didn't really have abuse, physical abuse, but it's abusive to have somebody tell you something's wrong with you. Or stressful life changes. Okay. I think we can all pick one and relate to it in some way, such as moving homes or schools. That's traumatic. So when I went to, so I'm going to take you back. It's like the late 70s and in grammar school, early 80s, and I went into an all-white school in my town, right? It's traumatic, even though I have friends and I'm still hanging out with them. But the point is, it's traumatic. I'm sorry. But it's like, what? Just get over it. You'll be fine. No, I hurt and I didn't tell anybody. Okay, so maybe it isn't being beat up, but it is something. A lack of significant losses may lead us to minimize or discount our losses. And that's what I did my entire life. I discounted them as, well, it's not that bad. People have it worse. Yet, accumulated losses, such as a parent not showing up for events. My sister used to show up because my mother was depressed, questioning or our choices. Oh, do you think you should do that? I would probably, you're looking a little heavy in that dress. Okay. And or acknowledging us only when we did exceptionally well. Oh my God, that's my daughter. Look at my daughter. Oh, you can do better later, right? I'm making jokes of these things, but these are just it makes us feel, it made me feel unworthy. It just made me. Okay. So listen to what it says. Questioning our choices and acknowledging us only when we did exceptionally well can affect us in profound ways. That's our literature. That's not me whining and bitching. Okay. Some recovering adult children describe this as, and here's my favorite word besides discovering is not recovery, death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's my life. I accepted it. I swallowed it. I had it choke me alive. And you were always much better than me. You had the answer. I didn't have anything. But boy, did I, because I excelled in every job. I got hired when people couldn't get hired. I got all the accolades. I traveled all over the world. I have it. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, because at the end of the day, I was still cutting myself. And a friend who lived with me saw me hurt myself. It made him crazy. It made me crazy. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. And I'm going to start to wrap up now and just tell you I gave you a lot of information today. Some probably hard to kind of wrap your head around. Find one sentence in our literature and you are on your way. You're on your way. This is not a joke for me. It is, when we get into AA and stuff, we said it's life or death. And we look at it. Let me tell you something. Being in this pain in my brain and knowing that I've cleaned myself up, but I still feel it, is death by 1,000 paper cuts. It just is. May not be a big thing, but it keeps happening over and over again. And the solution is what we say here, to find a higher power or a loving parent that says, Theda, and yes, it's pronounced Theda. Even when somebody will tell you it's Theta, they're wrong. It's Theda. You're okay. Theda, it's okay. And I do that for myself today. And almost to the point when somebody does it to me, I go, thank you, but I don't need your accolades because I need to learn how to cherish what I bring, give, and who I am outside my work accomplishments, outside of all the stuff that's out there. I need to go in here because I have less time in front of me than I have behind me. And I can't live anymore on the fact that I'm abstinent and I do all this work and I'm such a great friend and I'm this. When I go home, and if somebody even calls me, I have to turn the phone off because I can't take it anymore. I recover one day at a time by coming to these meetings, telling my truth, and knowing that after this meeting, I will be leaving to have lunch with a friend. I will go to the gym. I will do all those things. You know why? Because I love Theta. I love Theta. I always did. I was ashamed to tell you because it sounds like I was bragging. No, I'm a wonderful person. I'm a loving person, but I'm flawed. I'm flawed in certain areas that I will work on one moment at a time, one day at a time, through being and honest with you and saying I went to a friend's birthday party and I was mean to everybody because I couldn't get anybody on the phone from ACA to help my little children inside of me because we all have little parts. That's why it's a loving parent. And that teenager inside of me went in and the people were looking at an old woman and the old woman was acting like a teenager, making everybody wrong if you didn't do what I say do. I am not recovered. It's discovered that I was acting badly. Recovery is, the honesty is, I made amends. I did the best I could, but it's too late. It's done. Where am I now? I'm in a meeting telling my truth and saying I have a long way to go, but I'm willing to make that journey. And I hope you all are making that journey with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I got through it.